Iktomi was hungry, as usual. In fact, he couldn't remember when he had last eaten. So, without a solid plan in mind, he set about to feed himself. Circumstances were not favorable for a quick meal, however, since Iktomi was not a good hunter. As a matter of fact, he was the worst hunter around. He was not proficient with weapons, and he was very slow of foot. Strangely, though, he was confident, because he knew he was one of the trickiest beings to walk the earth. He came upon a trail and followed it. One never knew where such trails could lead, but of one thing he was certain. Chances were it would lead to opportunity, and opportunity was the key to Iktomi's survival. He gained the crest of a hill, and as he started down he saw someone coming up the hill. It was Matro, the bear. Iktomi hid immediately. Except for Tatanka, the bison, Matro was the most powerful creature on 4 legs. One swipe of his paw could send skinny little Iktomi to the next world, and it was a place Iktomi was not anxious to go. From the middle of a plum thicket, Iktomi watched as Matro lumbered up the hill. Iktomi suddenly realized that he was sitting in the middle of ripe plums, a favorite food for Matro. He was on the verge of panic and about to run for his very life when he saw that Matro was covered with scars from many old wounds. An idea formed in his opportunistic little brain. Leaving the thicket, he went back down the trail and began to whistle as he walked. Matro took immediate notice, of course, but because of his poor eyesight, he had to wait to see what was making such a cheerful noise. "It's you," he growled as Iktomi stopped. "Get out of my way. I have to find food to fatten up for the winter. Go away unless you want me to eat you." Iktomi's knees were knocking and his heart was pounding. But he had a plan, and it wouldn't work if Matro saw that he was terrified. "Greetings, brother Matro," Iktomi called out in the loudest, bravest voice he could muster. "It's good to see you, but you must step aside because I am in a hurry." Matro was astonished. He had never known anyone to face him. All the 2-leggeds ran away at his approach. Now this skinny little being was telling him to step aside. "I hope you taste much better than you look," Matro said. "Don't say I didn't warn you. Beings much more powerful than you tremble at the sight of me." "That is true," replied Iktomi. "But you don't know how powerful I truly am." "The only thing more powerful about you is your odor," roared Matro, so incensed at Iktomi's arrogance that he rose on his hind legs. There are few sights more frightening than Matro on his hind legs rising to a height equal to 4 of Iktomi's, whose insides were turning to mush. It was much too late to run, because the only thing on the prairie that could outrun Matro was Tatanka. Iktomi gathered all his courage, which he never had in abundance, and stood his ground. "I am more powerful than you," he retorted, "and unless you are too afraid, I can prove it to you." Matro crashed to the earth and doubled up in laughter. His loud guffaws rolled across the hills as he howled with laughter until the tears ran down from his beady little eyes. When he could laugh no longer, he sat up and stared at Iktomi, who, of course, was the very image of confidence. "There is no one more powerful than me," said Matro. "Therefore I am afraid of nothing, not even you." At that he rolled over with laughter once again. "So," he giggled, "prove to me how powerful you are." "I will," said Iktomi, "but I will give you first chance. For not only am I powerful, I am also fair." Matro giggled all the more. "What must I do?" "I know you have been wounded many, many times, and you are still alive." "Yes," admitted Matro, "I have been wounded many times by 2-leggeds, so I have many arrowheads and lance points in my body." "Exactly," shouted Iktomi, "but so do I, and much more than you. Still, I will give you a chance. You must cough up all the arrowheads and lance points in your body, and I will do the same. Then we will see who has more." Montreux couldn't stop giggling. "Very well," he said, "I will. But it hardly seems worth the trouble. I could just eat you and be done with it." "Then we need to make a wager," Iktomi said. "If you win, I will show you a creek where the fish are so plentiful you can catch them with your eyes closed. What's more, you can eat me, too, if I win. You must provide me with food for a month. You probably are stringy and will be tough to eat. But you have a wager nonetheless," decided Montreux. "I'll go first." So saying, he jumped to his feet, rose to his hind legs, and began to pound his chest, and then coughed and coughed until he began to spit up arrowheads and lance points. Of course, as Iktomi knew he would have to, Montreux closed his eyes as he gagged and coughed, and as the objects flying out of him were beginning to form a large pile, Iktomi sprang into action. As quickly as Montreux coughed up arrowheads and lance points, he swallowed them. When Montreux finally finished and sat back down, he looked at the pile in front of him. It was rather small. "Now you," he said, not the least bit worried. He knew Iktomi's puny little body couldn't possibly have more than 1 or 2 arrowheads. Iktomi raised himself as tall as he could stand, pounded on his chest, and began to cough and cough. Soon, 1 arrowhead came out, then another, then a lance point. In front of the astonished Montreux, Iktomi's pile grew and grew higher and higher. It was hard to believe that Iktomi could have been wounded so many times, but there it was, a pile of arrowheads and lance points much larger than Montreux's. If Montreux was dim-witted, he was also honorable, so he yielded, though he kept mumbling to himself in astonishment. And true to his word, he supplied Iktomi with berries and fish for an entire month.